Hi, this is Rod Zink again, and I'd like to go over making Gantt charts and budget tables in Word today with you to hopefully help you out as you move forward with your proposal drafts. I thought I'd start out by just reviewing very quickly what these things look like in a finished product. Here is a sample that some of you may have seen already through a student sample, but others may have not. Either way, this top one is a Gantt chart. Again, a Gantt chart is a work chart that shows the progression of work over time or tasks over time that includes start and stop dates or start and end dates of tasks. So when a task is supposed to begin and when it's supposed to be completed. And so that's why you have these blocks here. Okay, so this one, project planning worksheets are supposed to be started 9:25. They're supposed to be completed by 10:08, okay, and so on. So you can see how there's supposed to be a lot of overlap in there. Okay, and that's how work really gets done as well, you know. And if we go down below here, we can see the budget chart. And the budget, whether you call it a chart or a table, I guess, is a little bit more simplistic. Basically, this is a projection of data, and so we have a heading block here with supplies and costs. So it's giving us two columns of data. So here's the items that we're going to take a look at, and here is the itemized cost of those items. Okay, so paper is $2, color printing is $2, and so on. Okay, so you can see that here we can easily read this. You can also see that, so there's this big heading here, heading row, and there's also a total row. And those things, this particular writer has set those things off with shading so that they stand out and the reader can easily see them. Okay, and both of these were made by inserting tables in Word. And if you haven't done that already, we'll show you how right now. And if you have done that already, maybe I can still show you a few new things that perhaps you haven't done before. Okay, so to begin with, I'm moving to an empty document here. And if you want to, sometimes it's nice to start with an empty one when you're experimenting with something new. You can always cut and paste into an existing document. Either that, or if you're doing this right in the proposal itself, maybe you can just save a new file with a new file name, save a new version of it in case something goes haywire or something. But probably nothing's going to go haywire. This isn't an extreme operation or anything like that. Basically, what you want to do is get your cursor somewhere wherever you want to insert the table, and then say we're at home, you want to go into the insert toolbar here. By the way, I'm in Word 2010, but this is pretty much the same in any of the words, whether you're in Word 2013 or 2007 or, I mean, any one of those, even like, well, 2013 is pretty much 365 right now, so but all of them are pretty much the same as far as where you're going to find tables. So if you go into insert and if you click on table, you'll get this pull down bar here, and if you see, you can go and pick as many columns and rows. So basically, for a Gantt chart, you're going to want to pick a bunch of them. So I would probably pick all of them that you can and click it in there. Okay. And for a table, however, you may want to, for a budget, I should say, you really only need to have two of these and maybe, oh, I don't know, 7 or 8. By the way, don't worry if you don't have enough or if you have too much. All you need to do to add is to go in here and right click on something, and you can go into insert, and you can insert rows above or insert rows below, or you can go in and do the same thing, right click, and you can go and delete entire rows or entire columns. Okay, so these things, are totally adaptable. You notice that there were only so many things you can put in here to begin with. So don't be worried if you don't have everything figured out, or if you forget a task or something when you go to put this in. You can always fix it later, and you can always modify these. Okay. Next thing that you want to do is to figure out what you want to do with all your axes. And so it's one important thing that you want to do right away is to remember to plot them out. Now, for the Gantt chart, we have a regular kind of XY axis going on. So basically, on one axis, you're going to have tasks. So, like for instance, here, you're going to have different tasks that you're going to have to complete. And I'm cheating here, which actually isn't a bad idea for you either. I just have them all task 1, but you get the idea. And then on the other axes, you're going to want to have time. Okay. And so this can be either weeks if you're in the regular semester, or if you're in the summer, you might want to go by lessons. And see, that's a little bit longer, so that might cause us some pain. You get the idea. Okay. And we can resize this and do all kinds of things that way. The same thing applies to the budget chart. We can go in here and basically there we go. Okay. The same thing applies with the budget chart. We can basically go in here. Now this will be a little bit different for the budget because what we have here are really some items, and then we have some whatever it's going to cost, and we'll have some kind of total. Now if you notice here right away in all of these blocks, do you see how these things are lining up? Well, you can go in there, and do you see as soon as we go into these tables, we get the table toolbar come up here. If we get out of the table, it disappears. But as soon as we get it into table, we get these toolbars up here. We go into layout here. See, there's all these tools that come up, including all the individual cell layouts that we can use. So for instance, if I don't like this, the tasks all being over to the left-hand side here, I can highlight all of those, or just one of them, and I can say, you know what, I want them all to the right. And if these things tend to get bigger than one line, for instance, say I measure them out, see how they're all toward the top. Say I don't like that and I want them somehow in the middle, I can put them in the middle, and you can see how that works. Same thing with the lessons up on the top. I might want them right in the middle of the block there. Same thing here with the cost. I might want those things right in the middle of the columns there. But maybe I'll want the total you know, over to the edge. Nah, I don't like that. Probably want that in the middle too. Okay, you get the point. Okay. Now, the next thing that you want to do, now that we have our axes all plotted out, we basically need to put our data in there. Now, for the Gantt chart, as we saw, what we want to do is basically show start and end dates, or start and end points in the task. And so basically what we need to do is to plot our data. And so for the Gantt charts, we don't have numerical data. We have start date and end date. So when a task is supposed to begin and when the task is supposed to be completed. And that is supposed to be indicated by shaded bar. And so if we go up to our table tools here, as I was saying, we have all kinds of things. Now, we were just looking in the layout part of the table tools, but if we go into the design, you'll see here we have all kinds of things here, including shading and borders, and we'll take a look at some of these other things later on. But so task 1, let's say task 1 will go from lesson 7 to lesson 8. Well, we can go over here, and let's say we'll want to use, we'll use light blue as shading. Okay. And we'll say task 2 will take from lesson 8 to lesson 9. And we'll want the same shading. Okay. And as we go down through here, you can kind of see how this is a progression over time, but there's a lot of overlap in here. If you have something that has no overlap, then that's probably something where you want to rethink how you're planning it, because more than likely that isn't a realistic plan, because quite frankly that isn't the way things happen that often. Okay, now if we take a look at the data in a budget, on the other hand, really what we're talking about there, we'll have items. And by the way, you can pre-line these up. So since we have everything centered, we might as well go up in here and just have everything centered to begin with. So we can have different items over here. And we can go over here and put some different costs in. Okay, and we can figure out the total there. So it's something 50, but I'm going to have to figure that out. Okay, so it looks like it's 950, and that's how we'll plot the data with this. Now, naturally you're going to want to be much more descriptive than item 1 and task 1, etc. And also, this, depending on, you can ask your individual instructors how specific they would like you to be, but most instructors, because you're working within the framework of the course, they might be okay with you using the terminology of the course. So over the summer especially, you'll have, like half week lessons. So that might be an appropriate way to schedule everything out. But other instructors might not, so it might be good to ask. Okay.